Good morning, Gordon O'Gleish again this morning, and delighted to have with me Colin Sinclair from Nairn Golf Club in the north of Scotland. Colin, welcome.
Thank you, Gordon. Good to hear you and see
Well,
you.
it's in the interests of full disclosure, it's a small world that we live in. As I was growing up in Highlands, I had the very good fortune of playing golf on many occasions with your father, who was
Correct.
at that stage was a referee for Scottish football.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. For UEFA. So he did
Yes,
European matches as well, but he was an accountant as well. He
yeah,
didn't referee every
yes,
minute of the day.
and then he's over in Forfar now, I believe.
That's correct. Yes. Him and Mum are doing very well.
Terrific, terrific. Well, please pass along my best wishes to them.
Well, yeah.
Um, so, how did you end up at Nairn Golf Club? I know that you were at Carnoustie beforehand, but if you can just walk through, the courses that you were involved with and how you've ended up kind of in a terrific position in Scottish golf.
Yeah. Luck. Very fortunate. I obviously learned to play golf in Helensburgh, which you did. Used to jump the fence and run up the golf course road, and you were a lot older than
Yes.
me. But yeah, I used to hang out in that putting green for 10, 12 hours a day, and that's where my love of the game happened. Before I went into golf, I studied law at university at Dundee, and didn't want to turn to the dark side, and got the opportunity to work at Blairgowrie Golf Club under Gordon Kinnock. I was fortunate that Andrew Creeder, a great professional at Panmure, he was playing. He was going to play full time, so an opening happened at Blairgowrie, and I got the position. And Gordon was just he is, as I would call him, the boss. He was my mentor. His knowledge on the game, but on customer service, and on just being around Gordon just taught me so much. So I spent 6 years at Blairgowrie, and then Gordon was retiring, and he told me I needed to kind of go somewhere else and basically kind of go away down south. And the opportunity at Walton Heath came up. He knew Ken, my new boss. He knew Ken very well because his daughter Sarah was a member at Walton, and so I just got very lucky. Got interviewed, got the job as senior assistant there, and Walton Heath still to me is the best private members golf club. It is just outstanding. The customer service at Ken, he would roll out the red carpet every day. And I'm not saying that Gordon didn't, but Ken was just extraordinary in his delivery to the members and his passion. And yeah, I'm very happy there. And then Gordon I was chatting to him that he knew Errol Smith, who was the general manager at Carnoustie Golf Links, and said that they were looking for a pro, and at that time the pro shop was in the Carnoustie Hotel that was built for the '99 Open. So I started in January of '99 at Carnoustie, and I was there for 20 years. So I saw it going from it was a tiny 10-meter shop, and we turned over 400,000-500,000 in merchandise. And when I left 2 years ago, it was 1.5 million. It was a £6 million clubhouse. I was fortunate that I was involved in 3 Open Championship, Women's Open, 2 Seniors Open, Amateur Championships. So as well as looking after 2,500 members over 3 courses. So my role at Carnoustie was golf, and I was just fortunate that I learned so much at Carnoustie. Just got everything to do with golf. Great place, great people, and then I just kind of felt that 20 years I'd done pretty much everything I could, and I wanted to get into kind of private members club where I was actually the one that was making all the decisions. I wanted to get that kind of. I'm not saying I don't want a safety net, but it kind of buck stops with me. And I was born in Inverness, and then we moved to Helensburgh when I was very young. But my dad was a country member here, and when our daughter Jill was born in 2012, my wife Fee and myself, we became country members here. So we had an affiliation with Nairn, and I just got fortunate, and I've been 2 years in the role, so just 2 years exactly. So that's how it got me to Nairn, and then just a special place.
That's terrific. So jumping back to your time at Carnoustie, so you started there just when the hotel was being finished, Because I think it finished like in the April or
May,
March,
2nd
April
of May,
19.
Sunday, the 2nd of May, it opened to the public. So that was what, 2 months before
Yep.
the '99 Open.
And then in your final couple of years there, they built just a terrific clubhouse that you were very involved with. Uh,
Yeah, wonderful. You know,
Left
great
for
vision from the trustees, and because Carnoustie Golf Links is a charity, and you know that the land is owned by Angus Council, so you know it's a big step to build the new clubhouse, because there are clubhouses at Carnoustie, and you know, and
Yep.
wonderful heritage, the Dalhousie, the Carnoustie, the Caledonia, the Ladies, Mercantile, so on, and yeah, it was a big step, but again, it was just enhancing the experience for the
Yep.
visiting golfer. But the most wonderful indoor facility that is getting used by junior golfers, beginners, disability. Yeah, Carnoustie, they do it well. They do it very well.
That that's terrific. So your return to Nairn, and when you reference the fact again to a private club, I mean Nairn in many ways epitomizes the private club. I mean it's got a very strong community that's centered around the golf course in the club at Nairn. It must bring you a lot of joy to kind of go full circle in many respects
Yeah.
from Inverness and back to the where your
Yeah, well,
family.
no, it does. It feels because when we moved up, we moved up permanently 18 months ago. It didn't feel, it sounds strange, it didn't feel like a move because we knew it so well. We obviously have a lot of good friends up here that it just felt natural and yeah,
Yep.
very easy. But it was made easy because of the members. I mean, the members are. Uh, I'm not saying the Carnoustie members weren't passionate, because they were, but they really are passionate in the Highlands. I mean, they
Yep.
love their golf, and the club is just, you know, it's in their DNA. It's if you cut them in two, it's like a stick of rock. You know, Nairn is right through them, and because of the club is within the town, a lot of the members. Because we have obviously a mix of members that live locally and live in Inverness, and obviously throughout the Highlands, as well as our overseas and country members, but they kind of walk to the club, so they socialise at the club normally. Obviously, it's been difficult with COVID, but again, it's just that family atmosphere, and they're caring. They're incredibly caring people, and that's, you know, it's just, yeah, wonderful.
Yep.
Just lucky. Just always been lucky.
That that's terrific. Now, and I was reading the information on Nairn. Nairn Golf Club seems to be one of the first adopters or almost innovators of the national membership. I think you've had the a country membership for some period of time.
Yeah, it's I don't know who was the brainchild behind that, but yeah, the innovative thinkers. Obviously, we have you know, we have 300 country members. Again, it's been very challenging for them to get here. And you know, from an overseas point of view, you know, we've got a large number of overseas members that again we've not been able to see this year. But
Yep.
yeah, it's a mix. It's, you know, it's a lovely mix to have. And you know, then all of a sudden the country members, which I used to be one, you become friends with local members, and these
Yep.
friendships just develop and grow. So yeah, it's great camaraderie.
I know that my good friend Charlie Yates from Atlanta has got strong connections, and his father had strong connections up at Nairn, and he cherishes his time up there.
Well,
Um,
Charlie is our vice president of the club,
yes.
and father, Mr. Yates, well, obviously he won the amateur championship at Troon in '38 and a Walker Cupper. He was a member here, and he was vice president. So you know, we were our past captain Andy Burgess invited Charlie to be vice president 2019, and we were obviously thrilled that he did. So yeah.
Terrific. Now let's talk about the golf course for a second. I mean, it's got a reputation in Scotland for always being in terrific shape. The greens are known for being some of the best in Scotland. But I mean, the architects that you've had over the years, I mean, it was old Tom Morris that was the beginning. There was the first architect that was involved,
It
or was not
was
somebody before?
Archie Simpson. Yeah, it was actually Archie Simpson who laid out the course. He was the pro at Royal Aberdeen. and the kind of one of the founding members, Robert Finlay, who was a QC and local MP, actually went on to become Viscount and Lord Chancellor. He had approached Archie Simpson, who is of the Simpson brothers in Carnoustie. It's really weird how this connection. And Archie Simpson learned a lot of his course design from Old Tom when Old Tom was laying out the last 6 holes at Carnoustie, because Carnoustie, when it was established in 1842, it was only a 12-hole course, and then Old Tom came in 1867, and within his group of architects and workers, Archie Simpson was in there, and then obviously Archie Simpson did a layout here, but then Old Tom came in, and our 8th hole. I don't know if you remember it, Gordon. Great short par 4. It's like a Donald Ross upside softer green. That is Old Tom Morris. So there's a bit of Simpson in there. There's a bit of Tom Morris, and then obviously Mr. Braid came in. Ben Sayers, and then Braid came back in again after Mr. Sayers. And then 2 years ago, the club, or 3 years ago, the club took on a project of just under £1 million to do restoration work on the course. So new tees, new bunkers to go away from the revetted fairway bunkers to the rough edge, and actually new greens as well. So the 1st, the 7th, and the 14th, completely new surfaces. The 1st and the 7th are absolutely new. They've actually been pushed up against the beach head. So most courses are going inland because of coastal erosion. We spend significant sums of money every year to kind of shore up that line, and we actually push the green up against the edge. So the 1st all of a sudden has become, and that was through Mackenzie and Ebert. It's very similar to the 1st at Turnberry, the kind of the work they've done there. Great work they've done there. So you can certainly see their kind of theme working its way through the course. So there's been, like every course is innovating and changing, but for the club to take on that decision 3 years ago was huge. And I wouldn't say the members fully supported it enough for it to happen. When you speak to the members now, they greatly appreciate that the new design is, it gets top marks.
So you mentioned a name in there that you don't hear that often now, but I remember from junior golf is Ben Sayers.
That's your golf clubs.
He was a golf club guy.
North Berwick.
North Berwick, and I think I had a set of Ben Sayers, probably one of my first sets of golf clubs. There was Lady Ben Sayers or something like that. But did he do many golf courses?
No, not many at all. It's not a name that you. Obviously, Old Tom and James Braid seem to be maybe the Mackenzie Ebert or the Gil Hans of the day. But Ben Sayers is definitely. I came up and did some new bunkers, but again, pretty much the layout that you see is a bit of Simpson, a lot of Old Tom, but James Braid, and now. Mackenzie Ebert. They've only, as I say, they haven't changed the direction of the holes apart from 1 and 7. But you're going back to 1887. It has stood the test of time.
So walk me through the golf course. Do you have any particular favourite holes out there, or has this evolved?
Yeah, well, number 1 I think is which before was pretty bland. There was a very flat green that you just ran into, but now moved it 50 yards back, right up against the rocks, infinity green, and then all of a sudden it's just got a little bit more of a dog leg to it. It's a little bit softer, and generally into the prevailing wind, and it's a tough test. I mean, it really is. It's just rewarding great golf shots. And again, I was fortunate to work at Carnoustie, which I'm slightly biased, I think is the best layout of any golf course in the world. Not the best views, but the best layout. And just all of a sudden, when you're standing on that first tee, it's like a Carnoustie. You know where the bunkers are, you know where the trouble is, it's in front of you, and it really is a strong, strong hole. But then that's repeated on number 2, so the tee has been moved 70 yards to the left, and again there was a burn that ran 200, 220 across the middle of the fairway, and you had to lay up, and now that burn's been taken out, and again it's just got these lovely staggered bunkers, and again it's just exactly what to do. So 2's great, 3 soft dog leg to the left, 5 you've got the beach on the right. My favourite hole is probably 14 par 3, 220 yards, looking straight down the hill. And you've just got the muddy Firth in the background. Every time I look at it, it just gives me goosebumps. And it's just, again, you just got to hit quality golf shots. And that's what's pleasing about the Nairn before, but obviously the new Nairn layout that a lot of people won't have sampled because it really just got finished last year. It really is asking all the questions of the elite player, but because of all the forward tees that have gone in, it's opening it up to the higher handicapper and our members that are. Unfortunately, everybody's getting older, but they can actually continue to play because we've reduced the length of the course by having these new tees in, and you don't get the traps, so you cannot pass the bunker. So it's actually Mackenzie that did the work that he's actually catered for elite players and the higher handicappers, which is not easy to do.
Yeah, yeah. Are there, over the course of the years, any key events in the club history that helped define the club, do you think, that made it what it is?
Well, I think it starts from 1887 was the inception. The first tournament was first professional event was in 1895. And Willie Ochterlony, he won that. And then from there, it was Scottish Ladies Amateur Championships that would come on, and then Scottish Amateurs. But then it was actually the members. So Major David Blair, who won the Scottish Amateur in '53, 2 times Walker Cupper, captain of the RNA. He, again, he would be spreading the name about Nairn. So the actual events themselves, that it's just a kind of combination of just hosting, major events, Scottish amateurs, and then all of a sudden it would just evolve itself into, well, in '94 we got the British Amateur, and then followed on the Walker Cup, and then the Curtis Cup, and now this year we have the amateur again. So yeah, it's just grown, but the people involved. We had Charlie Yates, for example. Charlie would be installing the virtues of Nairn as an ambassador, but we had Lord Whitelaw, Willie Whitelaw,
Yes.
that used to be Deputy Prime Minister to Mrs. Thatcher. He was a long-standing member, and he was our president as well. So again, and a captain of the RNA. So again, just members being influential and it is being influential, getting to the right people to say, we have a course that can host a great tournament, a great amateur event nowadays. And what we're really saying is, come and play it, and then we're very confident that it'll stand the test.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I noticed that you got the archive room, which I think is not many clubs have it, and not many clubs take the time to kind of just keep a record. Everybody remembers the here and now, and I always remember there's a club that I'm involved with that shall remain nameless, and they have boards up for the member guest and different championships, or rather they put boards up, but it's only been going maybe now 30 years, the club, and nobody could remember who won the event, the member guest in 1999.
Yeah, and not that long ago.
Yeah, right. It was a big event in 1999. It was a highlight of the golf season. But it always strikes me in the other place that I know that takes great pride in the archives is Marion up in Philadelphia. They've got they really, everything that's kind of Marion. So the fact that you've got a membership that takes enough time and pride to kind of create an archive room.
Yeah, there's a lot of, big shout out goes to Alistair McIntosh, Alistair Allen, Douglas Fowley, members that have just, devoted their time and energy. And the archive room is the first thing you've got to come and see. Even when we're doing, interviews for recruitment, that's where we do it. We do it in there because we're trying to say to the team, this is where it all begins. Yep. And you go to the 1887, the first meeting, the minutes are there. It's funny how the minutes going back to the 1880s, this is still the same minutes we talk about nowadays. Play, divots, too many people on the golf course. So nothing's really changed in the grand scheme of things. But it's all documented, beautifully put together, and that story, so much work has gone into that, and we need to build on it. The heritage is so key to our USP. And Castle Stewart, brilliant product. Fantastic. Stuart and the guys do a phenomenal job. It's new, it has its own history, but a lot of people are coming to the UK to play golf at a venue that has a massive amount of history, and we have got it, and we've actually got it on show. And it's a great, we just encourage people to come in and after the round, there's whiskey there down. we will arrange for either Mr. McIntosh or some of our other archivists to come in and just sit with the group and just talk it through, because the history is incredible, amazing.
That's fabulous. Now, the Bothy, in terms of kind of history and tradition, it's out on the golf course. Do you want to kind of explain the Bothy and how it came to be?
Well, you've got the Bothy and the Ice House. So they're two separate buildings, but at the back of the ninth green, just to the left-hand side of the ninth. So you're going back to the 1800s, where when the fish was being caught in the Firth, it would be taken up and stored in the Ice House before it would go on a train and go off to either Aberdeen or Inverness. And so the Bothy, over the years, it was a Bothy where you'd go in there, there'd be a log fire, and you'd have your drams and your I'm not saying you'd have your fish and chips in these days, but you're certainly something to eat. But again, the club with the vision, they've created it into a halfway house. And so it's kind of a strange thing, because obviously we've not had it open with COVID, etc. But in this modern day, you need to have compliance with regards to where your staff work, and you've got to have toilets, you've got to have water running facilities, and obviously we don't want to do it in there because it would spoil the ethos of it. So basically what we're doing now is we've just got it's very similar to what you do in the US, is you just have that buggy that goes around the golf course discreetly, and you just tap in your order, and the order will be there waiting for you at the Bothy. So you can enjoy the full experience. And in the Bothy itself, it's got all the memorabilia going back to, as I say, into the 1800s. So it's a very cool halfway house.
That's terrific. I mean, clearly you and the members work very hard to deliver a great experience when people get to Nairn. And in the world in which we live, I think people genuinely appreciate that authentic experience. So it's you feel as though you're part of the history, and but you're also playing a great golf course. So
and it's also when anybody visits, we don't call visitors. We call them they're members. They're members for the day, but ultimately we would like you to be a member, an overseas or a country. Or a full member. Again, there is a waiting list for that, but ultimately we treat everybody exactly the same. We just want everybody to have a great experience. They'll get it from the course. They'll certainly get the feel of the history. But the Highlands, the people in the Highlands are so welcoming. There is that Highland hospitality. It's not saying we're overtly commercial, because we are, but we do it in a subtle way. But it's very, very friendly, and it's natural. It comes across as very natural.
Golf in the Highlands of Scotland has really come a long way. In the last 25, 30 years. As you've evolved, as Royal Dornoch has evolved, as air service into Inverness has improved, as Castle Stewart has come along, new hotels in Inverness with Kingsmills and Ness Walk. I mean, you've also got kind of the Brorers and Taines and Fortrose, golf space. I mean, there's so many good golf courses. I mean, when we started in business, the idea of going to Dornoch was a big trip. And the Highlands was a bit of a mythical place in the distance. People didn't always, right? It was, on a 6 or 7 day trip, you might not make it there. But now, I mean, you can fly in and out of Inverness and spend a lovely week up in the Highlands of Scotland. And
absolutely. With Inverness Airport, we have actually, we did some marketing in the winter to London members to become a country member, because it's literally 15 minutes from picking up your bags to teeing off. And you're that, and Castle Stewart, even closer, 5 minutes. And Dornoch is 45 minutes away from the airport. So it's very easy to get. It's very accessible to get to the Highlands now.
In your, I realize you've only been there a short time, but any notable celebrities or noted players that have been up at Nairn recently that you can recall?
Certainly when the Scottish Open was on at Castle Stewart, a number of Phil Mickelson, so obviously past Open champion, Luke Donald, who played in the Walker Cup here. There's been, and obviously Colin Montgomery, Colin being an honorary member, as well as being the Scottish Amateur Champion here in '87. So yeah, again, just we always get great comments. The greens, even when I was a kid growing up, the greens in Nairn, the surfaces were just so pure. What we'd like to say now is not only are the greens in great condition, the tees, the fairways. So, but yeah, again, it's just the history that the greens were always quick and they were always smooth, and that has continued. But yeah, we actually have one of our own great players, Sandy Scott, who's sixth in the world amateur ranks.
Wow.
So he played in the Walker Cup at Hoylake 2 years ago, and hopefully he'll be selected to play at Seminole in a couple of months. So we've got quality players, and his brother Callum, who's in the Scottish international setup. We've got Fiona, Katrina Tan, and Summer Elliott there in the girls. We've got a very strong junior program from Murray Urquhart. Murray was Scottish boys champion. He's our teaching pro. He played on European tour, and the quality of junior play here is incredible. We have a 9-hole course, our Cameron course, and again, it's like that taster to golf. Go out there, try it, and if you get better, you'll obviously go to the range, but then you go into the championship course. So it's just that kind of evolution of the juniors just get better and better. So yeah, there's as much as key. We had obviously key players coming through, but our own players, we've got a very strong collection of players ourselves.
Well, Colin, you've been exceptionally generous with your time. You're a wonderful ambassador for Nairn and the Highlands of Scotland, and you're obviously using all of your experiences at different clubs, from Carnoustie to Walton Heath and Blairgowrie, to bring together just a great experience and move Nairn through these challenging times. So congratulations on getting back home, and very best wishes for the rest of this year, and hopefully 22 is a better time for all of us.
Yeah, and to you, Gordon. Look forward to seeing you in the Highlands, in the not too distant future.
Great. Many thanks.
Thanks, Gordon. Take care.
Cheers.